In this video, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite machines, a French machine called the Phenix. This is one here, and that's another one. If you look at this machine, right away you may notice it looks a lot like a Columbia graphophone B. So let me take a look at that. This is a Columbia graphophone B, a very popular machine that sold quite well in the early 1900s. They're all cylinder phonographs. And this one was made in the US, and if you look closely you can see that the mechanism is very similar. And a lot of European companies did that. They copied basically American machines. This one's a little bit bigger, but pretty much the same sort of layout as this machine. So that's the Columbia. Something quite nice on this machine is the speed control comes with this little dial here, so you can actually see at what speed you're going. Like you can adjust it a little bit faster, a little bit slower, and I just find that part of it really pretty. These machines, if you notice, have a little bit different size cylinder though. There were a number of cylinders available back then. There was the regular size cylinder, a 5-inch long cylinder. Some of you may have seen the concert size cylinders, which are 5-inch diameter. They're quite big cylinders, and they're all wax cylinders, so they're quite fragile. But Pathé came out with a cylinder called the Intermediate, which was a size between the largest concert format and the regular size cylinder. And that's what this machine takes. This model here, which is probably around 1901, which is when they came out, plays, originally they played just, let me show you actually with the horn. This isn't quite the right horn, but it's very similar to what would have been on it. So this is how it would have looked. Like that. The European horns are usually like this, aluminum, spun aluminum like this, as opposed to the American style of horn, which is like this or with a brass bell. So this machine originally would have taken just the regular size cylinder, and then later when Pathé introduced the intermediate size, there was an adapter available, and you could put that on here, and now you can play these larger size cylinders. And you can adjust it a little bit by pulling this part in and out. You'll see it more closely when I play the machine. And there's a floating reproducer here, like the Columbia, similar to the Columbia one. So it plays like that. It's a key wind machine, and I'm going to demonstrate it, and you're going to hear a cylinder in a little bit. So the earliest ones were regular size cylinders, then an adapter for a Pathé size. And then that was around 1902 that they added this. And then the 1903 model, which came out just at the end of 1902, played their own size cylinders. So they went from playing standard size cylinders, which were easy to find, to playing just their own proprietary cylinders, which look to be almost the same size as the intermediate size cylinder, but they're actually just a little bit smaller. So if I hold this up to here, I don't know if you can see that, but this is just slightly bigger, which means you can't, although it looks similar in size, you can't play a Pathé intermediate size cylinder on this machine. So these machines were sold in France by distributors who did them mostly by mail order. One of those things where you get 50 cylinders and a machine for low monthly payments for the next 2 years. So they weren't sold in stores as much as sold out of catalogs and magazines and newspapers. And the company must have been quite successful because there are quite a number of these machines around there. I find them really pretty and interesting. After they went to this model, the next year, I think it was around 1904, they came out with another model. This is not quite a working one. This is sort of like a parts machine I have, and this is a horn and arm from a Pathé machine I have. But you can see it's a little bit different arrangement. This one, the horn attaches here, and the reproducer attaches there and is floating. This one, the whole reproducer floats. Very much like a Pathé machine. They did a lot of that. And as you can raise and lower the horn as you turn this crank here. And so it's a little bit different arrangement. Still has the speed dial, that interesting speed dial. And that one takes just their own size cylinders. So let me get a cylinder and show you what they look like. Okay, so let's take a look at some common cylinders. This is an Edison gold molded cylinder. And you can see that's the standard size. The one you may have seen also is the Path A size cylinders. These are the intermediate size cylinders. There's one there made out of a brown wax to a dark black wax. And this one's in great shape. I find a lot of them are not in really good playing condition. And this is a Phenix cylinder. So it's a slightly bit smaller than the intermediate. It's a bit thicker around here. And they came in similar brown wax. Apparently some of them were a bit yellower and some as dark as like a dark brown black. So this one's in pretty good shape. I think we're going to give it a try and see what it sounds like. I wanted to also point out that you may have seen or heard of Bettini. The Bettini machines were quite expensive, as he had a special reproducer that he had designed, and they're quite sought after. And the machines are, exceedingly rare. And I noticed, I've seen some of those machines, and I noticed one of them looks actually very similar to this. So if you see a Bettini machine, the front is a little bit different. I'm going to show a picture. Take a look at the picture. And you can see it looks very similar to this without the speed dial here. So I kind of consider this as like a poor man's Bettini machine. So let's hear this. This is a Path A intermediate size cylinder, but I'm using a Columbia reproducer because I find it sounds a little bit better than the other reproducer I have. This is a Phenix cylinder, and unfortunately I don't have a really good cylinder, so it's not going to play really well. I have to help it along a little bit. Well, that's enough of that. This is a regular sized Edison cylinder. As I mentioned, these were mostly sold through newspaper advertisements with monthly payments, and you got a machine and a bunch of cylinders. So here are a couple of ads for it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.